Saiyan Rose Goku Black.
After the events that happened at school, Goku was sitting on the sofa at Rito's house, while the two Debbie Luke sisters were staring at him. The place was completely silent, nobody said a single word, you could feel the tension throughout the room. I'm starting to feel uncomfortable with the looks from these two little girls, Goku thought as he looked at the two Debbie Luke. But out of nowhere, someone appeared to ease the tension in the place. I brought some drinks, Rito's sister said, but upon seeing the scene she fell silent. Rito's sister, Mikan, wondered why the girls were so alert when they arrived with that man. But she didn't dwell on it and went to give the three of them their drinks at the table. The pink-haired girls thanked Mikan, and the Scion was confused to see what she had brought for him too, but he thanked Mikan anyway. He's a bit absent-minded, although I can't deny he's kind of cute, Mikan thought as she saw what happened. Upon realizing what she had just thought, Mikan's face turned bright red and she suddenly left the place. A few drinks later, Mikan returned calmer and started a conversation to ease the tension in the place. So, what's your name? Mikan asked looking at the Saiyan. My name? Well, my name is Son Goku, although you can just call me Goku, Goku said with a smile. Are they, Goku? What a strange name, Mikan said, laughing a little at the Scion's name. Goku also started laughing, but he didn't know why. But suddenly someone caught the Scion's attention. Stop mentioning names, and tell us why you wanted to challenge our father, Nana said angrily when she saw that they were being ignored. It is very rare for a person to dare to confront a god of destruction, Momo said as she took a sip of her drink. Is it really that strange to face a god? Goku asked, very doubtful, although he felt that he had been told that once, millions of years ago. Are you an idiot? Facing a god isn't an everyday occurrence, and the worst part is you're going to face a god of destruction. The person who is known throughout this universe as the strongest, with a power capable of destroying planets with just one finger, and bringing any mortal to their knees before him. Nana said the last part with pride, for obvious reasons. Upon hearing this, Goku simply replied, but I have challenged a god of destruction before, and not just one, but I have challenged all the gods of destruction in my multiverse to a duel. The Scion said the last part with a less than friendly smile. Those present were shocked to hear what the Scion said. None of them could believe what the Scion had just said. That's impossible. You didn't just face one god of destruction, you faced several gods? Nana said, very surprised, while Momo was still in shock. Facing several gods was a very long time ago, after I had faced the first god of destruction, Goku said, a little melancholic, as he remembered those times. But in a split second he returned to normal and asked the girls present the following. Although if you want, I can tell you the story of how I faced the first god of destruction. The girls nodded out of curiosity. And so Goku began to tell them his story. One story later, Goku had been recounting the battle he had against the god of destruction, Beerus, but he only recounted the most important parts, skipping over the unnecessary conversations he had. That means Vegeta was almost never mentioned. Mikan was surprised to hear the story, but Momo and Nana began to say that this story seems similar to another one. Well, it seems my story has spread to many places, the Scion thought. Note, Goku thought the girls were referring to the stories they told, along with his legend. So if you were able to face a god of destruction back then, and then faced more, does that mean you could defeat a god of destruction right now? Mikan asked, thinking about what the Scion had said. That's right. If that were the case, it would mean I could fight and defeat my father right now, Momo said, looking at the Scion. Momo, maybe everything she said was a lie. After all, don't you see the level of power she has? With that power, I don't think she could even touch our father, Nana said, trying to defend her father. Well, the reason for my low power level is because I'm hiding it so as not to scare anyone, plus I've never fought at my maximum power, so I don't know the full extent of my power. Goku said this to clarify things. Well, after all, you're an acquaintance of Lord Vegeta, it was obvious that you should have been hiding your power. Moreover, I heard that Lord Vegeta hates having weak people around, Momo said, while trying to remember who told her. Very typical of Vegeta, he doesn't want weak people around because they get in his way when he fights. He has to keep protecting them. The Scion thought about it last, and just smiled when he saw that his rival hadn't changed. The two pink-haired girls, upon hearing the simple way in which the Scion referred to the king of everything in their multiverse, were very surprised and wondered how he dared to treat the name of such an important god so lightly. But they were quickly pulled from their thoughts by what the Scion said next. But I'm not just an acquaintance of Vegeta's, I'm also his friend and rival, Goku said, flashing a big smile. Upon hearing that, the two girls quickly responded with that's impossible. Goku looked confused at the quick response from the two girls. It is impossible for you to be Lord Vegeta's rival, since the only one he considers his rival is the guardian of all, the supreme god, Kakarot. Momo said, looking slightly angrily at the Scion. Goku, hearing that, was about to say that he was Kakarot, but he couldn't finish because he heard the door open and a loud, "We're back!" from Lala, who was with Rito. The two pink-haired girls went to greet their sister, but not Rito, since they didn't trust him yet. Goku went with them too. Well, it seems they're back, Goku said with a smile. Rito and Lala remained silent upon seeing the Scion. But what on earth is he doing here? Rito said, a little scared, when he saw that the Scions were here. Well, he's a guest, you see, Mikan said with a look that said, is he an idiot or what? Rito became even more nervous and scared knowing that the Scion was going to be at his house for a while. Meanwhile, Lala remained silent upon seeing that the Scion was here. Lala's two sisters, seeing how distracted she was, asked if she was alright, but received no answer. For some reason, Lala felt that the Scion was someone special to her, but she didn't know why. Rito noticed Lala's different behavior and wondered what was so special about the Scion that made Lala show a side of herself he had never seen before. The place had become confused by what was happening. Meanwhile, Mikan announced that she was going to make food to get everyone to stop standing still. A while later, those present were eating, while Mikan cooked. So you're saying you faced a god of destruction a long time ago? Rito said, looking at Goku. Goku simply nodded. From what I heard from my little sisters, that story you told sounds like the one about the guardian of everything, Lala said, looking curiously at the Scion. Goku, knowing he shouldn't reveal his identity as guardian in order to fight his father, said he was an acquaintance. But what the Scion didn't know was that Lala, a huge guardian fan, was about to bombard him with questions. But Goku was saved from her when Mikan said that the food was ready. Upon hearing that, the Scion quickly went to sit down and was ready to devour the food. Everyone had a drop of sweat on their face when they saw that. After eating, Goku asked Lala if she had already called her father, but she forgot, so she quickly left to call him. Well, it's time to ask him, Rito thought as he saw that Lala had finally left. Rito asked Goku if they could talk about something somewhere else. Goku agreed, but he was confused about what he wanted to talk about. Hearing this, the girls looked at Rito seriously, wondering if he was up to something. Rito was a little scared, but he went with the Scion anyway, so Goku went with Rito to a place where the girls couldn't hear them. So what are we doing here? The Scion asked. Tell me something, Goku, are you perhaps the guardian? Rito asked very seriously. Upon hearing that question, Goku said nothing, his head was bowed. You acted very strangely when we talked about your story, as if you were trying to hide your identity, Rito said, giving proof of it. Goku still hadn't said anything. Answer me, Rito shouted. And what if I am? A Scion said coldly. The Scion raised his head, revealing only silver eyes and a gaze as cold as ice. Upon seeing that, Rito began to tremble at the mere sight of the Scion's eyes, almost to the point of fainting from fear. Goku slowly approached Rito, but with each step he took, Rito's heart beat faster, as if his soul wanted to leave his body. It got to the point where the Scion was standing in front of Rito. Goku was slowly raising his hand. Rito, seeing the Scion's actions, closed his eyes, waiting to see what he would do, but at that time he could only feel a hand touching his shoulder. Rito opened his eyes, only to find a Scion smiling at him. Ha ha, you caught me, Goku said, still smiling. Rito went blank at what was happening. Wow, I didn't think you'd figure me out so easily. Rito came out of his shock upon hearing what the Scion said. So you are the guardian that Lala was waiting for? I asked Rito to confirm. What do you mean, that Lala was waiting? Goku asked, unaware of what the girl felt. Upon hearing that, Rito told the Scion what he knew. Note Rito didn't know much about the subject, he only knew that Lala was a big fan of his. Wow, I didn't know my stories had such an impact on people throughout the Omniverse, Goku thought in surprise. If you don't believe me, look what happened just from saying you knew the Guardian. I can't imagine what will happen when you say you are the famous Guardian. Rito said, while Goku laughed at the boy's expressions. But I still have a question, why do they say the Guardian's name is Kakarot? I ask a dubious right. Well, that's my Saiyan name. Goku said simply. Rito was confused by what he said. Goku noticed, so he began to explain. Another explanation later. That explains a lot. Rito said upon hearing why his name was different and why he hadn't appeared all this time. Rito was going to ask something else, but they were interrupted by Lala. What are you doing? Lala said. Rito was startled by Lala's sudden appearance. Goku, who already knew she was coming, wasn't surprised. So what are you doing here hiding so much? I asked Lala again. Nothing. They both replied after Rito had calmed down. Well, has your father arrived yet? Goku asked this time. Lala responded with a yes to what the Saiyan said. Upon hearing that, Goku got a little excited. After Lala said that, they went back to the room to tell the news to those present. So they stayed chatting while they waited for the pink-haired girl's father to arrive. A while later, a power could be felt across the entire planet. A divine pressure crushed all the weak beings on the planet. Living beings that could withstand the pressure began to tremble for no reason. Meanwhile, the boys already knew who had arrived. Get ready, Goku. One of the pink-haired girls said, knowing whose power it was. Everyone looked at the Saiyan, only to see that he had a smile. Everyone went outside to see Jin flying above them, displaying his superiority to everyone present. So your son Goku? Jin said, pointing to the only person with an extraordinary power. Goku just smiled when he saw that she noticed his power. It seems my daughter was right, you have a divine key like me, a god of destruction. Jin said, noticing the Saiyan's divine power. Well, what can I say, god of destruction Jin? I am someone who wanted to face you. Goku said challengingly. My daughter told me you're hiding your power, so I hope that power you're hiding isn't too disappointing. Since I had to travel so far alone to face you, Jin said, looking at Goku imposingly. Goku just started flying, catching up to Jin. And without saying a word, the two began to unleash their power. I hope you don't disappoint me, son Goku. Jin screamed, releasing a great deal of power, while smiling. But that smile didn't last long, as a terrifying power was felt throughout the universe. The Saiyan's hair turned silver, and an aura began to surround him. The Saiyan's eyes were the color that so characterized the perfect state of Ultra Instinct. The planet was plunged into abysmal pressure. Space collapsed at the mere presence of that monster. Solar systems became unstable from the sheer power released. What the heck? Jin shouted, a little scared as he felt that power. Get ready, Jin, Goku said with a smile, which made him look like a demon at that moment. Goku got into his famous fighting stance, ready to fight. The girls, who were on the ground from the pressure, were very surprised by the Saiyan's power. Lala, for some reason, felt as if she had found him. Everyone tried to stand up, but to no avail, as the pressure was too great. I'm surprised, son Goku. I didn't think you had so much power. And that's why. I won't let you beat me, Jin said, also assuming a fighting stance, though he was sweating a little as he thought about what monster he was facing. Goku just smiled when he heard that. The two were about to launch into combat, but out of nowhere a voice interrupted their fight. Kakarot. Someone very familiar to everyone shouted. End of chapter.
Those present fell silent upon hearing that voice. Jin began to sweat from fear. It can't be that voice is from. A Jin was saying with fear, I can't believe that this person came to their universe. A portal opened in the sky. A pillar of light came out of that portal. Some divine presences and a pressure could be felt in the atmosphere. 3 figures could be seen coming out of that pillar of light, flying above all those present. From those 3 figures, a voice could be heard coming from one of them. Damn you, Kakarot. We have been looking for you everywhere. And the first thing I see when I arrive is a fight between you and one of my gods of destruction. The Prince of the Saiyans thought angrily, since he had told him beforehand that he should not fight against one. The light of the pillar had already gone, showing Vegeta and the 2 blue-haired people. Jin, upon confirming that he was the king of everything, quickly knelt before him. It is a pleasure to see you, Lord Vegeta, Jin said while trying to stay calm, while Vegeta had a not very friendly face. Heavens! Lord Vegeta is angry. I hope I don't have to suffer a punishment, and even less so if it's a punishment for my daughters, Jin thought as he felt the anger coming from Vegeta. On the other hand, Vegeta was slowly flying towards a certain person in particular. Jin was sweating buckets, thinking about what he was going to do to him. The poor man did not know why Vegeta was angry, but when he saw that Vegeta passed by him, he calmed down. Why is Lord Vegeta going to where that guy is? Jin thought without knowing the context of why Vegeta was in his universe. Damn insect, Vegeta said very angrily to his rival. Huh? What happened, Vegeta? Said a confused Goku, not knowing why Vegeta was so angry with him. Jin, upon hearing that lack of respect towards Vegeta, was surprised. What a lack of respect that Son Goku has. Doesn't he know how powerful Lord Vegeta is? Jin thought angrily when he saw what the Saiyan did. But on the other hand, Vegeta was yelling at Goku. You know how long we were looking for you, you damn insect? Vegeta shouted with a vein bulging on his face. Goku tried to calm him, but without success. Calm down. We were looking for you all across the multiverse. You already lowered your power to that of an ordinary mortal, but out of nowhere you released some of your power. You couldn't have done it before to avoid us looking for you all over the multiverse. The last thing Vegeta said made everyone feel a great pressure. He released a bit of power out of anger. Goku, on the other hand, laughed nervously. Sorry Vegeta. It's just that I couldn't contain my desire to fight a god of destruction before returning, Goku said, as an explanation to Vegeta. But Vegeta, upon hearing that, made a terrifying face. What did you just say? Vegeta said, a little angry. Well, that I was going to fight a god of destruction before returning, right? Goku said, as if it were no big deal. Are you an idiot, Kakarot? They would destroy the entire universe if they fought. Vegeta shouted at the top of his lungs. After that shout, Vegeta calmed down and sighed a little. Yelling too much was already taking its toll. While that was happening, those present heard a very familiar name, Kakarot. Everyone thought, when they heard that name, did he just say Kakarot? The guardian of all? Nana said, stunned. That's impossible, right? If his name is Son Goku, said Momo, unable to believe it. Apparently, Lord Vegeta revealed Goku's identity. Darn. Lala. Rito thought to quickly look at the pink girl, and just to see that she was in a trance, he couldn't believe it. His mouth couldn't say a single word. This must have been too much for her, knowing that her idol had been in front of her all this time. Rito thought in his mind upon seeing Lala. Mikan saw the reactions of all her friends upon hearing the name Kakaroto, and out of pure curiosity, she tried to ask Vegeta, and Mr. Vegeta. Mikan was so nervous that she couldn't speak properly. Vegeta, upon hearing that voice calling him, looked down below him. What do you want, girl? Vegeta asked with his bitter voice. See, could you answer me a question please, Mr. Vegeta? Mikan asks now more nervously, as she feels Vegeta's terrifying gaze. And what is the question, girl? I hope it's quick, said Vegeta, since he wanted to leave the place as quickly as possible. The question I have is Goku the Kakarot that all my friends are talking about so much? Mikan asks what everyone wanted to know. Making everyone present, upon hearing the question, turned their eyes to the prince. Vegeta, upon hearing that question, looked at all the people who were around the girl. Wow, it seems that Jin's daughters were on this planet. They have indeed grown quite a lot, and I see that one of them has strange behavior. I wonder why. Well, it doesn't matter. I better answer that question so that I can take this insect back to the palace. It was what Vegeta thought upon seeing the surroundings. Good girl. I will tell you in a simple way. The one you see beside me is known as Son Goku, but his Saiyan name is Kakarot, which means he is the acclaimed guardian of everything that legends mention throughout the Omniverse. His authority and importance are so great that they are compared to the very universal God himself. Vegeta said with all the seriousness in the world, since he knew that this was not something to play with. Goku started to laugh a little, since he had never heard Vegeta say anything good about him. Everyone had different reactions upon hearing that. Some fainted from the shock. One was left in a life and death state upon learning that this guy was the guardian of everything, and another was in total shock. Her body wouldn't respond. She had been with her childhood idol all this time right in front of her. Vegeta just stayed in silence upon seeing everyone's reactions. Until Jin spoke. It's a joke, right? Mr. Vegeta, Jin said, sweating a lot and unable to believe it. Vegeta, upon hearing that question, looked at him with a glare. Jin got even more scared when he saw that he had made Vegeta angry. How stupid I am. I forgot that Lord Vegeta is not one of those who joke. Please, may he not die for having said that stupidity. Jin thought he was about to faint from fear. But out of nowhere, Jin remembered something that would leave him pale and traumatized. I was about to face a being capable of turning me into mush in a microsecond. While Jin was self-traumatizing with her thoughts, Goku was talking to Vegeta about how badly he treats his gods of destruction. The two blue-haired girls, who hadn't said anything all this time, also joined the conversation. But the two blue-haired girls started mocking Vegeta so much that it made him angry, and he began to chase them. And they started running from him, leaving Goku alone. But two people, seeing that the Saiyan was left alone, took the opportunity to call him. Goku, Mikon and Rito shouted. Goku looked down to see that the two brothers had Lala hiding behind them. You can come down here. We need to tell you something, the two brothers shouted. Goku, seeing that they would be occupied over there, had no problem going to where the two brothers and Lala were. So Goku slowly went down to where the brothers were. As the Saiyan went down, he wondered about a few things. I wonder what they want to tell me, and why Lala is hiding from me, thought the Saiyan to himself. Meanwhile, with Lala and the brothers, I told you not to do it, said Lala nervously, and in a low voice, as she was not prepared. I'm sorry, but we already did it, Mikon said with a smile. Rito just let out a small laugh at that, and started thinking about a few things. Wow, Lala's attitude changed a lot upon hearing that Goku is the guardian of everything. She is no longer showing the carefree and distracted attitude she had. But what surprises me the most is that now she seems like a shy girl. But Rito was pulled out of his thoughts by a voice. So what do you want to tell me? Said a Goku, now in front of him. Well, Goku, someone wants to talk to you, a Mikon said with a big smile. And who is that person? Asked the confused Saiyan. The two brothers, upon hearing the question, moved to reveal a certain pink-haired person. The person who wanted to talk to me was Lala? I asked, still confused the Saiyan. Hello. Lala tried to greet the Saiyan, but she was very nervous, and said it timidly. Lala was looking the other way. She no longer wanted to see Goku face to face. But what was noticeable on her was a bit of redness on her face. Why is her face red? Does she have a fever? And why doesn't she look me in the face? Goku wondered when he saw Lala like that. Better check if she is okay before something strange or something worse happens, the Saiyan thought, then approached her and grabbed her by the head to press foreheads together. That way, the Saiyan could see if she didn't have a fever or something similar, but that only made Lala turn as red as a tomato. The poor girl could no longer look away to avoid seeing the Saiyan. But now she had him right in front of her, their foreheads touching. How strange, now you are redder. But I don't feel like you have a fever, said the Saiyan before stopping the forehead bumps. But Goku was still close since he wanted to know what was happening to Lala. Yep, totally a new Lala that I had never seen, Rito thought when he saw the pink little dog. They looked so cute. That was what Mikon thought when she saw what happened. Lala, who could no longer bear it, said, could you not bring your face so close, please? Said a Lala who was trying to form words. Goku agreed, but without understanding why. Lala calmed down a little upon seeing that the Saiyan no longer had his face in front of her. This is too much. My heart is racing, and I can't stop feeling my face burning, Lala thought to herself. So what did you want to tell me? If it was nothing, then I'll go, said the Saiyan, about to turn around. Lala, upon hearing that, knew that she had to gather the courage to tell him. Goku, wait, I would like, but what she said will not be known until later. Narrator. And this is how the creator creates suspense. Meanwhile, elsewhere, far from everything known by the kings and gods of everything, in a room where the most powerful beings of all existence were gathered, my guardian of everything has already gone out, and I bet his power level is higher than theirs. Although my guardian respects me a lot more, A person with a masculine voice said in the room. That individual emanated a terrifying aura and power. Don't think too highly of yourself just because you see that your guardian has great power, said another male voice in the room seriously. That person also emitted a terrifying power. The first person, upon hearing that, stared intently at the second. The second looked at him too and continued speaking. I say it because I bet mine would be 1,000 times superior to yours. Or rather, not even your guardian would be a threat to mine. The first one, upon hearing that, got angry and began to release power. The second one did not stay behind and also began to release power. It seemed that there would be screams all over the place. While they were arguing, 3 other people were watching the scene. Darn! They are always the ones who make a fuss here. Can't we ever have a quiet meeting? Said a female voice that was watching the argument between the first and the second. I wish they would at least be quiet for a few seconds. Another male voice in the room said boredly. He emitted a great power like the others. By the way, your guardian has already gone out, right? Another female voice asked the third. Well, yes. She left a month ago. And I am sure that she would be much stronger than the guardians of those 2 idiots over there. The third spoke, pointing at the first and the second. What did you say? The 2 omniversal gods shouted upon hearing what the third had said. Well, just like what you heard a couple of. And so they started another not very friendly conversation. And what about you? Has your guardian already come out? I asked the fourth for the fifth. Well, yes, mine has already come out, said the fourth to answer the question of the fifth. And what is he/she/it like? The fourth asked, a little excited. Let's see. He/she/it is a good person, very cheerful, and with great power, the fourth said calmly. Oh wow, it seems you must be a very good person to have your respect, the fifth said with a smile. The fourth, upon hearing that, just let out a small laugh before asking, has yours already come out? Asked the fourth to the fifth. Well, not yet, but I already want to meet him. The fifth was so impatient that she began to cry comically. Calm down, calm down. You'll see that your guardian will come out soon. He told the room to calm her down, but she did not calm down and instead started to cry more and went to hug the room. The room, upon seeing that, thought, give me a break at least. The room was already used to all of that. Note, I never said that there was only one omniverse or a single omniversal god. Back to Vegeta's multiverse. Vegeta had already captured the 2 girls. You are very cruel, Master Vegeta, said Miku, while touching her head from the hit that Vegeta gave her. That really hurt, Master Vegeta, Thali said too, also touching her head. That's what happens to you for mocking a god, Vegeta said, looking at the 2 with an angry look. Then, he said, well, having done this, let's get out of here. I want to go back to my palace to continue my training, Vegeta said upon seeing that it was already late. As you say, Master Vegeta, but I feel like something is missing, Mika said, forgetting that there was a certain Goku. And where is Goku? Thali asked, looking around. Miku and Vegeta stayed silent upon hearing the question. Meanwhile with Goku. So Jiren is the strongest all-powerful king of Sector 10? Said an excited Lala. Goku nodded at what was said before saying, I wanted to go fight him. But first I must visit the Universal God, since I need to know if I have permission to travel through all the sectors. Goku said, a little disappointed that he could not go immediately. Wow, I can't imagine how powerful that Universal God must be, for him to be so feared by everyone. Ryo thought upon hearing that. I am not understanding anything, but I love watching that couple. And even more Lala with her new reactions when Goku approaches her, or when he grabs her hand. They are so cute, Mikon thought upon seeing Goku and Lala together. But the moment was interrupted by a person. Note, all good things must come to an end. Kakarot. Vegeta shouted to get the silence attention. It worked. What's wrong, Vegeta? Goku asked while looking where Vegeta was. It's time for us to go, Kakarot. Since it's time for us to return to my palace, Vegeta said, sighing a little from everything that happened in just one day. Are you guys done playing already? I asked Goku with a small laugh. Damn insect, you still feel like dying, right? Said Vegeta, a little angry. But before the prince could say anything else, he was overshadowed by the two blue hair. Goku. Master Vegeta was very mean to us, said Amiku, still touching her head. He gave us a bump on the head, Thali said a little angrily. Goku, upon hearing that, started to laugh a little, having been reminded of old times. So you're leaving already? Said Lala a little sadly upon hearing what Vegeta said. Goku looked at Lala before speaking. Apparently yes. Since after all this planet is not my home, Goku said calmly, but you could stay a little longer. That way you could go to school and get to know everyone better, Lala said, wanting the Scion not to leave. I'm sorry, Lala, but Vegeta doesn't want me to be in one of his universes without being watched. He thinks I will destroy everything, said the Scion with a small smile. Lala, upon hearing that, lowered her head. She didn't want her idol to leave. The person she had been waiting for so long was going to leave now. And she didn't know when he might return or even hear from him again. I don't want him to leave. I don't want him to leave. I had been waiting so long to meet him, Lala thought as she saw that she could do nothing. Goku can be very innocent, but he knows when something is wrong. Are you okay, Lala? That was what Goku asked when he felt that the girl was not okay. Lala didn't say anything, but it was noticeable that some transparent drops were coming from her eyes. She showed a sad expression while crying silently. Oh no, we need to do something. Mikon thought upon seeing Lala cry. Lala is crying? Rito thought, surprised to see Lala cry. Meanwhile with Vegeta and the two blue girls. Why is the insect taking so long? Vegeta thought as he watched his rival. What's going on down there? Mika asked without knowing anything. It is not a sister, but I think it is something important, Thali also said without knowing. I am feeling an atmosphere of sadness from a romantic comedy here, and I don't like it. Vegeta thought as if he had awakened the eighth sense. Back with the Scion, Goku saw tears falling to the ground, and seeing that he quickly became worried. Lala? Is something wrong? Does anything hurt? Asked a very worried Goku. The one mentioned did not say anything yet. Goku, who could no longer take it, wanted to know what was happening to him. So he did what any man would do. Goku grabbed Lala's shoulders, making him able to see his face. The girl had a very sad expression. It seemed that she was suffering from something. Tears would not stop coming from her eyes, as if something had left her. For the first time in history, Lala showed a side of herself that almost no one knew. Those present who were able to see Lala's expression fell into total silence. Goku was the most surprised. He was the one who could see it perfectly. The Scion, without saying anything, hugged Lala, and the place fell into total silence. Only some cries of sadness coming from the girl could be heard. Calm down. I'm here. You can tell me what's happening, said Goku while still hugging the pink-haired girl. Lala, upon hearing what the Scion said, just said, I just wanted to be with you, said Lala while tears still ran down her face. A little while later, you could see how 5 people were returning to the palace of Vegeta with a transport bucket. Goku was talking with the blue-haired girls from the planets they visited while looking for him. Everything was normal until Thali changed the subject. Changing the subject? Because she keeps hugging you, said Thali, pointing at a certain pink movie with hearts around it. I also want to know, said Miku, a little annoyed. Well, I don't know. But is there something wrong with her hugging me? The Scion asked without understanding his friends. It's nothing. It's just that we don't like it, both girls said. Goku had a drop of sweat on his head upon hearing that. Are you perhaps jealous of me? Said Lala calmly. Miku and Thali, upon hearing that, quickly denied it. But if I remember correctly, jealousy is when a person is envious of something. And the most common reaction to jealousy is annoyance or anger, Lala said, still calm. The 2 girls were left in shock upon hearing what the Deviluk said, and the only thing they could do was silence her. And that was how the 2 little blue girls started chasing Lala all over the cube. Damn it! Could all of you just stay still? Vegeta shouted very angrily. Damn it! How could I have agreed to let that girl come with us? The prince thought, and then remembered. Flashback. After Lala calmed down and explained what was happening, Vegeta had to accept that Lala went with them. but it was mainly because the Scion forced him. But before they left, "Dad, I am going to change my fiancé. I don't want it to be Rio anymore. Now it will be Goku," Lala said very happily when saying that. Jin at that moment had 10 heart attacks. End flashback. The worst part is that the insect somehow did it. I hope for the love of my multiverse that this doesn't happen with more little girls, Vegeta thought without knowing what future this story will have. Already in the palace. "Finally, we're back," said a cheerful Goku. "Wow! This palace is very beautiful and huge at the same time," said a surprised Lala. "Well, it's not obvious. It's the palace of the strongest king in all history." "You are the strongest king of all?" Lala said, more surprised. "Of course, little girl," said a Vegeta with his ego at its maximum. Miku, Thali, and even Goku had a drop of sweat seeing the scene. "Well, I'm going to train. You all do whatever you want. But don't you dare cause any kind of trouble," Vegeta said the last part coldly. The girls, scared, nodded at what was said. "I will go train too. I need to see if..." And as if by magic, the Scion disappeared from the place without a trace. Again, Vegeta, upon seeing that, exploded with anger. "Not again," they said, sighing, the two blue-haired girls. "What happened to Goku?" Lala said worriedly. Meanwhile, in another place, in a place that was above the entire omniverse, there was a palace that reflected divinity in it. Inside the palace, there was a glass table and 2 chairs, where on one of them, the Scion was sitting. "Where am I? Why is it so dark here?" Goku said, looking around. But out of nowhere, a power beyond comprehension could be felt in the place. Something beyond existence itself. Something that defies reality and time. A power that could be considered infinite. That person with that power was the one who leads an entire omniverse. He is known for being the creator of the omniverse, and a being whom everyone should respect and fear. The one who is king among kings, a god among gods, the one who is the highest authority, the omniversal god. "Hello, son Goku," said the omniversal god with a smile. End.